Nobody has ever thought that they would ever come to see the day where Super Saiyan God was once again reintroduced in Dragon Ball Super, and going into Dragon Ball Super episode 104, right now we're about to further dissect and break down the preview and seeing Goku having to utilize his team with the likes of Hit in order to battle against the Pride Troopers. And again, I highly encourage you guys, if you guys are new to this channel, to go on ahead and punch that subscribe button and turn on notifications. That way you guys can be notified whenever a Dragon Ball video is posted onto this channel. Hashtag notification squad, Super Saiyan God returns. So without wasting any more time, let's go on ahead and dive straight into the preview. So we do have an understanding that Goku and Hit are going to be utilizing their team against universe number 11, and as you guys can see right here, so it says, hey, it's me, Son Goku. So the first thing I want to talk about here is look at Hit. So he has these marks on his face, on his head, on his chest, on his arms. So the one thing I'm assuming here is that Hit is indefinitely having trouble in battling against the likes of Dyspo and the other Frog Pride Trooper, in which we're about to see in a few seconds. So the one thing I want to ask you guys is, how is it that you guys believe Hit sustained these battle marks? Because it's really hard to even assume the idea that this is all due to Dyspo, but if it is because of Dyspo, then that just goes to show on you know, the display of feats that he has as a character and seeing what he's going to be bringing to the table. So we get to see Hit right here. He looks like he's in trouble and he prepares himself. So we see Khalifa, we see Champa, who looks like he's an absolute horror, and we see several other people here be at a total disbelief until, of course, our boy Son Goku makes the save. So it says here, Universe 11 is going all out on the offensive. Now, a couple of people brought this up in my breakdown review and in my overall review as a whole, that people were saying, well, this is going to be another Beerus versus Goku matchup, since so far we haven't really gotten Beerus versus Goku in a definitive rematch. This is as close as it's going to get in having ourselves sort of like a recreated fight of Beerus versus Goku in a way. Even though I don't think that Dyspo is anywhere near the likes of Beerus in terms of caliber, what's interesting to note is how Goku steps in and capitalizing and utilizing Super Saiyan God to stop Dyspo from further damaging Hits. So we see here the re-emergence of Super Saiyan God, the fiery aura. Dyspo looks kind of confused, and right here he kind of puts on that face like, oh my god, like I am totally F-U-C-K-E-D'd. So what's interesting to note is I'm pretty sure that Dyspo is going to go for the punch on Hit until Goku shows up. So we go over here, Goku's smiling, and look out in the distance. So we see all of like these silly strings on the floor, or like all these webs, like all the like it just looks like a bunch of webs or whatever. It's really weird, but I really doubt that this comes from Goku. And as you can see here, it says another Universe 11 warrior joins Dyspo, the super speed warrior in fighting Hit. So Dyspo is referred to as the super speed warrior, and as you guys can see here, so we don't definitively have any information on this one character, but assumingly so, all of like these little webs slash strings slash whatever they are seem to come from him. And it'll only make sense for it to come from him since he's the one that we see later in the preview holding on to Hit while Dyspo is trying to attack him. So we know based on spoilers that Dyspo does come up with a plan in order to take down Hit, and maybe this plan involves using this character to hold him off, because I'm sorry to say, but Dyspo versus Hit in a singular battle, I can definitely see Hit smashing Dyspo out the water, but without the likes of help, I can see Hit definitely struggling on this one. So we see him holding on to something. It's all like sparkly and shiny or whatever, and we also get to see here how Hit almost steps on it in a way, just a little backed up from it. I'm assuming that maybe if, you know, Hit touches this, or if he steps on this, it's going to slow him down, sort of like spider webs, I'm assuming. Again, we don't know any information on this one character or as to what he's gonna do, but again, going back to this shot here, he looks to be very damaged. Of course, he had to have taken some punishment by Dyspo, by this other character. And another one of my favorite shots here is we get to see Goku and Hit, and it looks like Hit just disappears. He disappears right over here, and even Goku's like, where'd he go? And by the way, for this one particular shot, it looks like Goku actually has like eyelashes, like women's eyelashes, like stitched on his eyes, but whatever. So we get to see Goku. He's looking out in the distance, like, where's Hit? And either way, when it comes down to it, we also get to see something else very interesting in the fact that Beerus and Supreme Kai, everyone seems to be a little worried. I mean, notably so, as we also get to see here. Now, this is one of my favorite shots because Dyspo is throwing a punch, literally, face to face against a wall of fire. And honestly, even though right now I still stand by my opinion that having to capitalize and utilize Super Saiyan God by now is a bit too late, it's still pretty cool to see Dyspo engaging with Super Saiyan God, given the fact that Goku needed this God form in order to even remotely compete with Dyspo to that extent, especially if he's supposed to be labeled as the super, sonic speed like warrior. So we see here again putting on like that stupid face of shock. Obviously enough, I think by the end of this, Goku is gonna beat him. I don't know if Goku and or Hit are gonna throw him out, but it's safe to assume that early on he is gonna do damage to Hit until Goku steps up. And once Goku steps up, I think right then and there the tides are gonna turn. So Dyspo seems to be in complete shock, and we also get to pan over here. Now, this frog-like character is using these webs or these strings to hold back Hit, because as you guys can see based on Hit's demeanor, he looks very, very shocked, he looks very surprised, and I'm assuming that Hit was going to deliver a very devastating blow, but it's because of this other Pride Trooper that it actually prevents him from doing so. So all I have to say is keep your eyes out for that frog, keep your eyes out for him. Whatever he is, a frog, a toad, whatever he is going to come in handy in being a support-like character, because he's not going to be on the same caliber as Hit or Goku in terms of power, but in terms of techniques, which is what this tournament is all about, it's not about who's the strongest. You can be the strongest all you want. If you're caught off guard just for a moment, your ass can get ringed out. So we see here he grabs onto Hit, and what's interesting enough is it really looks like Hit's about to land an attack, and he just so happens to catch him. So we pan over here, and we see him holding on to Hit, and of course the webs or like the lassos, whatever it is coming from his body. And I'm assuming that this guy is going to be a problem. I mean, I'm pretty sure he is, especially if he has the ability to keep his opponent in check while Dyspo does all the work. That's going to be a big problem for Hit. So maybe this is one way of neutralizing the time skip momentarily against such beings. But we also get to see here, so Dyspo looks like, honestly speaking, Dyspo looks like he's ready for war. And I'm not going to crap on the character entirely, because we haven't seen what he's capable of, but I will say, following the events of the plant monster, the expectations are quite low. But if he's supposed to be like the Flash of the team, then this is going to be interesting. So we see Dyspo there. It says it's a super powerful enemy, and as we pan over here somewhere, now Hit is by the edge. Hit is right by the edge of the ring. He's in trouble. He really, really is. And the question is, who pushed him, to go as far as being by the edge? And if in fact it was by the other two characters, then what does this mean once Hit encounters Toppo, or perhaps even Jiren? Is he going to be in more trouble after he encounters them? Either way, he's by the edge of the ring, and it says here, looks like me and Hit have to form a dream team, said by Goku. Now, this is what I am most curious on. So Jiren seems to be looking down, and what I'm assuming, he's probably standing at a very high peak or a very high ledge somewhere out there just observing this, because everyone has been complaining that Jiren hasn't done anything, and I agree with you guys. I agree that he hasn't done anything. He ought to do something for once, because the only thing he's done so far was just pretty much knock Kale out of her form. But aside from that, I'm pretty sure that he's taking notes as to what Hit can do, what Goku can do, and further studying them, because so far, logically speaking, on a tactical level, he doesn't have to do anything, because if he's supposed to be one of, if not the strongest fighter in this entire tournament, then he has no reason but to sit back and just observe. So what's interesting is we see him just standing somewhere looking down, as we have this other shot of Hit seemingly enough looking up. And I want to make the assumption and the hypothetical that maybe Hit is staring directly at Jiren, maybe, because we've seen them, face to face before. So having him look down and having Hit sort of look up makes sense to me. And the fact that maybe this could be post having to fight Dyspo or the other Pride Trooper, but what I'm assuming here is that this and this definitely tie in together in my assumption, because I'm pretty sure that once again they're gonna lock eyes, but of course someone's gonna get in between them in further causing more havoc for Hit and Goku's team. So we pan over here somewhere, as we can see Dyspo getting serious. Now here's the thing, so Hit looks to be surprised. Dyspo shows up in front of Goku right over here, and he kicks Goku so hard. Now here's the thing, Dyspo versus Goku is something that I don't mind. The only thing I truly do mind is just seeing the Super Saiyan God form show up ages late. I mean, this is a little too late to be shown, but if it's needed to sustain stamina and possibly reuse regeneration and trying to heal him during this fight, then it'll make sense. But Dyspo goes for the kick, Hit is like, what the hell, and Goku gets kicked in the face, with Goku having to say, let's do this, Hit. So Goku gets kicked square in the face by Dyspo. He goes flying. He gets sent flying here. So whatever the case may be, he gets kicked in the mouth, he goes flying here. So as Goku goes flying, we see Hit, and it says next time on Dragon Ball Super, and we see Dyspo and Hit pretty much stare down. The ultimate high-speed battle begins. Goku and Hit join forces, and by the end of this, we see Hit and we see Dyspo, and I'm assuming that this is going to be their episode, and this is my favorite shot. So a couple of days ago, I actually revealed the Fuji TV scan from this actual, image right here, and it was very grainy. It wasn't even finished entirely, but it was shown by Yonko Productions and of course several other people, and many people were crying out, fake, fake. Well, how stupid do you look now? I'm never one to put out any false info. I'm never one to put out any false scans, and that scan was directly from this. And it's really cool to see this because it's Hit and Goku, two people that were once enemies in a tournament-like setting, now having to work together. So my general question to you right now is, do you guys believe that we're ever going to see Super Saiyan God Goku having to fight Hit during this tournament? Because I do hope that since they brought it back, I really hope that they use more of Super Saiyan God in this tournament, because if it's only going to be for this episode, they just wasted their time. If we see more of Super Saiyan God in episode 105, 106, 107, and then finally having to see him get pushed more and more to where he uses Super Saiyan Blue, and then he finally fights the big dogs, and he starts getting his ass beat and forcing himself to go Super Saiyan Blue and beyond and breaking his limits, that'll make sense for him to go Super Saiyan God, Super Saiyan Blue, and then Limit Breaker. But now, I'm just assuming that this is going to be something that's only going to be shown for this episode, and I'm hoping that that's not the case. But I want to know down below if that happens to be the case, are we going to see any sort of engagement between Hit and Goku, or are they going to work together more often to fight off, stronger opponents? Or do you think that once Goku's finished helping Hit out, he might challenge him and then having Vegeta step in? Because it's already confirmed that Vegeta is going to fight Hit at some given point, but this episode next week is going to be a deal breaker. It really is, because we have all sorts of things that we haven't seen before. This has to be one of my favorite shots, because Dyspo is literally throwing a punch within the wall of fire. And what's interesting is his reaction afterwards, and seeing Goku pretty much utilize and maximize this Super Saiyan God power. It has me stoked, but I want to know what you guys have to say down below. And in terms of the other Pride Trooper, what kind of ability or technique is that? The one that he revealed, because that was an ability and technique that I haven't seen before in quite some time. The only person I can recall that kind of did that was the Charmander Agumon looking Pride Trooper that he did to Kale. I think his name was Voron. He was the one that pretty much used his Justice Lasso to pretty much hold Kale intact until she broke that. But this seems a little different. This seems like it's coming straight from his hands. So are they webs? Are they some sort of like, lassos that keep them in check or something like that? Post your comments down below, guys. Thank you all so much for watching. If you guys are ready for Dragon Ball Super episode 104, then go on ahead and punch that like button square in the face, guys. Don't forget to hit that subscribe button if you guys are new to the channel for more news, information, and updates. Tune back in for more if you guys have not checked out the previous reviews. Go on ahead, guys, and check them out. For me, this is incredible because this is an episode to where it's solely focusing on Hit, and Hit's one of my favorites. And I'm sorry to say, between him and Dyspo, I'm going to have to lean with Hit totally on this one. So I think that this may be Dyspo's time to get wrung out, if anything. Even though I would love to see him remain in the tournament and probably fight Frieza and Gohan and stuff, because Dyspo seems like a really cool character. But if anything, after Hit you know, maintains his composure and recollects himself, after that, I think it's lights out. But post your comments down below. Let me know what you guys think. Thank you all so much for watching. Tune back in for more, and I'll be seeing you all down in the comment section below. Have a wonderful day, everybody. Peace.